Hi guys, Denise here. Today is June 17th, um, Tuesday, 2025. So we made it all the way to page 22 yesterday. So this is part 2 of my testimony. Probably only going to be about 15 minutes here for this one. But if you missed the first one, I would recommend watching that one first. It is a little lengthy, about an hour, but it's all going to be brought in together towards the end of this testimony. So it is kind of important to go back and watch part 1 and part 2 and all that. So anyway, I hope everyone's doing well. So I'm just going to continue on. All right, where we left off. One time at the very beginning of my marriage, I left Dan and went to stay temporarily with my sister Kelly. The condition was I get a restraining order right away on him, then I could stay there. So I did that and basically left with the clothes on my back. This was during the time I had lost temporary custody of you, speaking to my daughter, and was trying to get out of that mess with him and get you back. But you see, in my hurry to leave, I had left some personal things behind, like pictures of you and important documents. There were still things that needed to be resolved. So while at my sister's, I quietly went into another room and called Dan on the phone, unaware that my sister Kelly was at the door listening. Immediately there was a family meeting, which I wasn't invited to, and the next thing I know, I'm dropped off at a BP gas station by my sister's husband at the time. I literally had nothing, nowhere to go, no money at all. So after begging for it, my sister's husband was kind enough to give me enough change to make a phone call, then left. With nothing but a small bag of stuff and the clothes on my back, I remember asking people, anyone, for a ride to Portland in my desperation there at the gas station. I was a complete wreck. This was new to me. I had never, up to this point in life, ever been dumped off like that, and by my own family. People were rude to me, treated me like a common bum. There was one lady, though, I remember, who did apologize for her rudeness toward me by saying, though she couldn't help me out, whatever the situation may be, she had no right to treat me so unkindly. I forgave her, then went to the payphone to call Dan. Since he had a show that night, he sent over a taxi to pick me up. Even though I could never imagine dumping anyone off like that, I had to believe they thought it was the right thing to do. So with no one else to call but Dan, I went back. Though I messed up and went back to where things continued to get worse, God, who knows the beginning from the end, was with me. God loves justice, so he himself is not going to treat us unjustly. When others have abused or mistreated us, we become afraid that everyone, even God, will treat us in the same manner. But be assured, God treats his people justly and rewards them for their undue suffering. Read Isaiah 61, 8 through 9, and John 15, 18 through 21. I am going to ask that you look those up yourself because I am on a quick break at work and, just want to continue reading here. Okay, daughter, back to the rest of my letter to the court. I am thankful that this happened and I have had time to reflect on this sad situation. I know that finalizing a parenting plan and providing a consistent visitation schedule for my son Zach will be the best thing I could do for him. Sincerely, Denise Kendrick. That was it. The court agreed to remove that from my record. Thank God. Now back to Mom's story. Now, God will also, I want to pause here, put people in your life, at moments when you really need them the most. And there was this one young lady, she had a little girl, and I don't remember how I met her, but, what was her name? Oh, I'm trying to remember it. anyway, maybe it'll come to Brooke. Her name was Brooke. Brooke, I remember her last name too, but I won't say it here. But she actually helped me write out that letter for the courts. And and then this happened. I didn't even, God bailed me out of jail. Okay, he bailed me out, and I mentioned before, no, there was a bail, and then I didn't even have to go before the judge. They probably, saw that, this is nonsense for her being here. All she wants is a Bible, and I just did my 3 days there, and over the weekend, and left. And during that time, and I actually, I'm not going to go there because I think I do go over this in the story. But so that was it. The court agreed to remove that from my record, so I can get Mom to come live with me. I have many years of experience caregiving, okay, and thank God. Now back to Mom's story. When I told Mom they dropped that off my record, she was so happy, but I could tell she was slipping away. Okay. We continued on with the process of her living with me, had a new doctor set up for her in Long Beach, all her medical supplies, hospital furniture, everything she would possibly need, scheduled for delivery. I had her complete care plan and was already familiar with it. There was only one last thing we needed to do, change over the power of attorney from Kelly to me. So along with a nurse witness in the room, she, Mom, and I signed. I still have that paper. And when I do one of the parts from home, I'll try to remember to show you that paper. This was important since I would be the one caring for her and would make things much easier when it came to making decisions instead of having to report to Kelly every time. Not to mention my sisters had all of a sudden decided Mom should go live with Shannon now in Raymond. What a nightmare. Though Shannon had a brief history in caregiving, she is not familiar with Mom's care plan and had never once cleaned her up or taken her to the shower room. Mom certainly didn't have much, so it was nothing like that at all. I remember when Mom was at OHSU with that bladder infection, and she had that mild heart attack. Though she was released and returned back to the nursing home in Vancouver, a couple of doctors told Kelly and I in a private room that our mother had only had 6 months or less to live. I was completely devastated. Shannon then told me Kelly planned on selling off Mom's belongings before anyone had a chance to keep anything special to remember her by. Mom had always said the family pictures would go to me. She also had inherited her mother's pictures and recipes, which were promised to me as well. I was the one who'd look through all the pictures, and year after year, the one grandchild who'd, instead of playing with my cousins during holidays, I'd be there in the kitchen with my grandma, learning and asking questions, all growing up about how she cooked. I wanted to cook like she did. She was the best. We spent a lot of valuable time together in her kitchen. She was always so patient and loving towards me, and I have been cooking since the age of 5. Never did get those recipes. I did, however, end up with some of the pictures eventually, once they'd all been picked through. I remember one time when I was a little girl walking past a room in our house and noticed my mom there crying silently. We used to always ask Mom what was for dinner. Mostly it was pancakes. I knew we didn't have anything to eat, and that's why she was crying. I must have been around 6 years old, been cooking about a year at this point, so I silently went to the kitchen, went through the pantry, took everything we did have, and prepared my very first casserole. It was not a good combination. When I was finished cooking dinner, table all set, I called out, "Mom, Shannon, Kelly, dinner's done." I heard my mom say, "Dinner?" Everyone sitting at the table, my mom not crying anymore, smiling instead. I presented dinner. Then my sister Shannon said, "I'm not eating that." But Mom said, "Yes, you are." It wasn't the best, but we ate that night, and it wasn't pancakes. All those years and quality time spent with my grandma in her kitchen and some help from my mom too has certainly paid off since then. No one ever complains about my cooking now. Anyway, though I did come to realize it wasn't exactly the right thing to do, I packed mom's stuff and brought it all to my place in Long Beach. Guess I thought having things around that meant so much to her, all those memories, would help. You know, all the stuff that because I knew mom was never going back home. I had a key to her apartment. She still had her apartment. We were hoping she'd be able, come back, and all of us were praying that she would be healed, my sisters and I. But now I was just told she was going to die, and told that my sister was just going to sell everything, and so I went and took my mom's stuff to the coast. I never even took it out of the boxes, but I think I talk about that. So guess I thought having things around that meant so much to her, all those memories, would help. It didn't. I couldn't even open one box. Instead, I sat there at the bottom of my staircase looking at all those boxes on my dining room floor and just broke down in tears. While I was in jail during those 3 days, Kelly came and took it all. She told mom and everyone else I had stolen it. So when mom asked me about it, I had no choice but to tell the truth and explain to her what the doctors had said and why I did that. And also, I don't know if it says this in the story, it's been a while since I've read it, but also during that time, those 3 days when I was in jail and no one bailed me out, one of the women that my ex-husband had hooked up with at the beach, she was also married, and her husband owned Sid's Market, the grocery store there, and she was the wife of him, but she was having an affair and with him, and he had called her to come and pack all my stuff, and so this woman's going through my clothes and everything, while I'm in jail. All this is going on, and I had already brought in my mom's belongings to my home at the beach. So I had so when mom asked me about it, I had no choice but to tell the truth and explain to her what the doctors had said and why I did that. It was devastating. I think deep in mom's heart, she already knew she was going to die. I wanted to comfort her by reading from my Bible, which I had on me every time I'd visit her, but the closer to the end it came, the more she did not want to hear it or be read to from it. This saddened me greatly, but I just prayed over her even more. And well, you do know how all that turned out. Kelly ended up not selling mom's stuff after all. Instead, everyone except me went through her things and took what they wanted. But there was one thing, and I'll try to remember this too in another part. One thing nobody took, and it was a beautiful 8x10 picture of my mom, probably what she looks like now in heaven. Nobody took that picture of my mom, but I was glad that I got that. None of this concerns me now that I know what really matters. I know my treasures are in heaven. Remember Joseph. He was thrown into a pit by his brothers and eventually ended up in prison. But the word records that the favor of God was with him. Don't ever let anyone convince you that you are worthless. Nobody. The favor of God is a powerful supernatural force that can move mountains of impossibility. I'm not afraid or discouraged because God is with me. I may be pressed on every side, but I am not crushed. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, and so can you, daughter. We are blessed and highly favored of God, royalty of the kingdom of heaven. We're not to worry about or envy those who seem to get away with doing wrong things. Okay, guys, I'm going to leave it off there because my break is over now. And we'll continue on part 3 either today or tomorrow. God bless you all. Until next time.